We're live with Cary Jack, the original Happy Hustler. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Thank you, Joe, for having me. This is my honor.
Absolutely. It's been fun talking to you the last couple of weeks. And I told you, I was wanting to get a show ready for the new year, get all of us high achievers ready to tackle 2021. You like it? Already a pun.
You are the queen of weed one-liners. No question. No one better.
I mean, they just come so naturally in the flow. I mean, that's what getting paid to be myself, just the pot puns. They're natural. So I was hoping you, though, could help me. We want to talk about lifestyle tools for high achievers, people that are part of the Casually Baked tribe. Cannabis can do so much for us, but it can't do everything. And, people that put all of their eggs in the cannabis basket, it's like there's so many amazing wellness tools out there that pair nicely, have this harmonious entourage effect with cannabis. And I thought we could kind of just go through, since, you are a lifestyle entrepreneur and you and I kind of vibe in the same way. I thought you were the perfect person to talk about some of these ways that we manage stress and anxiety, stay focused, find our flow, stay organized and inspired. So you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, I think stress and anxiety, especially in 2020, is a hot topic and one worth talking about because, frankly, it's been a crazy year. And I think we really need better tools and practices to mitigate stress and anxiety. And I know cannabis is one of them. However, I do believe there's a ton others that do have that entourage effect. So let's dive in.
And also the fact that there's a lot of stuff that shit just is free. It's free to feel good. It's, so let's start with stress management. What are some of your favorite ways that you manage stress?
Well, first and foremost, nature. I make a point to get out in nature at least once a day. It helps that I live in Montana, which is surrounded by nature. That's by design, people. I've lived all over the world from Barcelona to Bangkok and Rio to LA. And I tell you what, Montana has always had my heart since I was a little boy. My dad has a ranch out here and my mom lived in Florida. So I'm kind of like a half surf and skate, half camping, fishing, hunting cowboy. And so I think nature has always been a part of my life, and it's definitely helped me mitigate stress and anxiety and just tap back into Pachamama. And I think that with cannabis is even more enjoyable. However, that's one tool. I'd say another one is cold thermogenesis and heat thermogenesis, hot and cold exposure, essentially. That really just chills me out to a whole nother level. I get hot and cold at least once a day. It helps also that I live close to the hot springs here. So I have natural thermal water and a cold pool, AKA the creeks. So I can get cold and hot very easy. Once again, by design, because I designed my business around my lifestyle that I want to live. And that's what being a lifestyle entrepreneur is all about. So I think
let me say one thing about that hot and cold thing. So I live in downtown Oakland, but I get that in with my morning shower every day. I take a hot shower and then I end my shower with, 3 or 4 minutes of, ice cold. And of course, this time of year in California, that cold shower is pretty damn cold. But it does a wonderful job of like stressing your system immediately. Like this is the most stressed I plan to be all day long. So tell me some of the benefits of the hot and cold.
Well, vasodilation for one, you're getting, blood to all your different parts of your body, decreasing inflammation for two. Really, a lot of disease stems from inflammation in the body. And when you get hot and cold, it really helps to decrease that inflammation. 3, it builds mental fortitude. Doing hard things regularly is one of the best things you could do for yourself, to push out of your comfort zone and to just expand your, your tolerance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so there's a lot of benefits to it. Not to mention detoxification. When you're sweating, all those toxins out of your body. You can burn calories if you want to lose a couple pounds sitting on your bum. I have a personal infrared sauna in my home that Therasage is one of my podcast sponsors on the Happy Hustle, and they have this amazing sauna. So if anyone wants one, it is a great tool, and code HAPPY could save you. Shameless plug, but I believe in the product, so that's why I like to use it regularly. But yeah, tons of benefits to hot and cold thermogenesis.
My sister and her wife have an infrared sauna at their house. And so when I go home during the holidays, that infrared sauna is in the room that I sleep in. So I just it's my personal morning wake up, do my meditation while I'm in there, and just sweat it out for like 45 minutes, get my day started.
Yeah, it's a great way to start your day and end it. Yeah, so tons of benefits there. Then obviously, meditation, breath work, those two things, especially regularly, building that consistency. I mean, I try to do a simple box breathing meditation at least, once a day, where it's a 5-second inhale all through the nose, 5-second hold, 5-second exhale, 5-second hold. And that they use it in the military. A lot of the snipers actually during the heat of battle, they'll use this box breathing to control, their nervous system and to really just maintain baseline. So when they are, feeling stressed and anxiety, they can control it. So that's a powerful one. And then, meditation, everyone I think complicates meditation or a lot of people do, but really just focus on your breath and be still,
Yeah, totally.
There you go.
No, those are great. And, some of my favorites, microdosing cannabis helps me a lot with my anxiety. And, if I overdo it or I choose the wrong strain, it can amp up my anxiety. That's why I think it's so important to know some of these non-medicated ways to de-stress yourself. But, cannabis is a great tool for me. Laughter is one of my favorite tools for de-stressing. If I have too much going on, just being able to quickly find, some silly video or meme or, something to make myself laugh and get those endorphins flowing. And movement, I was telling you, but right before we, got on the live stream that I was, I had a lot going on. I've been a little bit stressed. It's cold in my space. And, I just crank on some tunes and, shake the tree, get it moving and shake and smile. Because when you're moving your body and you're smiling to like some great music or something, you can't help but feel better.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point that, just ecstatic dance right before this interview. I was, practicing my katana in the front yard. And, that's my form of dancing it out. I put on little tunes and I just flow with my sword. And, I think everyone has their own quirks. Fortunately, I don't have neighbors. It's cows and horses out here. But, on a 300-acre ranch, it's nice because you don't get that judgment like I would when I was, practicing my katana in the city. But anyway, static dance, definitely a great way to shake it out.
So tell me some of your favorite ways to move energy, because that's really what we're talking about doing. And so, katana, this is, I've deduced what it is just from our conversation, and I'm, giggling to myself thinking about you doing it. But what are some of the other ways that you move energy?
Well, one of my mentors is a energy healer. So I learned specifically from him how to really move energy. He's a Reiki healer and he does long distance healings as well. And I've seen him move people with energy just across the room, not even touching them from like 10 yards away. So I know it's real, and he's moved me before, and he shows me how to just scan my body using my palms. So everyone can actually, put their palms straight out in front of them. If you're driving, probably don't do that. But, they're already out in front of you, but just keep them on the wheel. So if you put your hands out in front of you and just slowly bring your palms closer together, facing one another, then further apart, you'll feel that energy right there. Don't you feel it, Joe?
Yeah, totally.
And you can kind of start to play with it. You can make a little ball, you can kind of feel that energy. Then you can move your fingers and feel how it moves back and forth. And so what I'll do is I'll heat up my energy in my body. Sometimes I'll rub my hands together and I'll just do a full scan of any ailments, any stuck energy, and I'll clear it. Full scan my chest, my legs, all the way down. I do this every day. And I scan my body with my palms and my energy. And that really helps. Now there's another form of energy work and I've been training martial arts since I was a boy, off and on, with a master from China. His name's Master Chen. He was of the Longmen lineage, 14th generation in Wudang Mountain. He's like Chinese royalty over there. And my mom has been big into Eastern medicine, and so she met this Master Chen at a conference that he was doing here in the West. And so he kind of took me under his wing when I was a boy and helped me just cultivate my energy, my chi. And I've been training with him since I was young, and that really helps to do Tai Chi and regular Qigong and Kung Fu, and that, just being at peace with your body, with your mind, being very present, realizing that we are energetic beings. Everyone out there is an energetic being. I know I sound super woo-woo right now, but it's all good because it is true. And
even the furniture, every single thing around us is all energy, and it's all moving, whether it appears to be or not.
Yeah, exactly. So when we can tap into that and start to cultivate our chi, I like to put it right on my dantian, which is like right underneath your belly button, is your energy source. And, the men put their palms, their left hand down, the women put their right hand down first, and then you put your other hand on top, and you can kind of just give yourself a belly massage and cultivate that chi. And I'll move it that way. And then, and I could go on for days about how I move energy and flow, but really it just is what I'm feeling at the time. I like doing a lot of body weight exercises personally, isometrics and pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups. And I think that's a good way to move energy for those of you out there who maybe are a little, I don't know if I want to start with the martial arts and the Tai Chi quite yet. Okay, just get down, do some yoga, some downward dog, throw in a couple push-ups, sit-ups. The biggest thing with moving energy, especially in building strength too, and I worked in a biohacking company for 3 years as VP, and we worked with Fortune 500 CEOs and Olympic gold medalists. So I saw at the top what these people are doing to move energy and to really be, high performers. And my dog's trying to just stay there, buddy. He's trying to go for the big jump off the bed, and he's an old one. He's an old pit bull, and he's like,
no,
good and bad for you, buddy. You stay still, right? The point I was trying to make, really, working with these high performers, you see, the biggest thing with working out is time under tension. So nice and slow, controlled contractions with your push-ups, your sit-ups. There he goes. But essentially that's a big thing when you're moving energy. Just feel it. Go super slow on your push-ups. Down. Breathe. Exhale on the work. Push yourself up. And that's kind of, a good way to move energy.
Okay, so now let me ask you this, because I am somewhat new to Qigong. I started it during the pandemic, and it has become a super valuable tool and something that I've worked into my daily routine. What would the masters say about medicated energy work in Qigong versus non-medicated? Because for me, I like to be casually baked while I'm doing this stuff, but I don't know is that helpful? Is it not helpful, or does it matter?
Well, I'm not going to speak for him because I really don't honestly know. I will say he's very pure and holistic. I know he uses, Chinese herbs, but he eats, basically a vegan diet. I'm not certain. My guess would he would say you need probably to be very clear-headed and focused, and in order to really tap in internally. maybe do it after.
Well, because, my cannabis infused meditation, like I've told you, is my most important meeting of the day. And it allows me to get to that space quicker. And so, to me, I just kind of transferred that idea over to my Qigong practice, but I hadn't spoken with anybody that, does it a lot. And, kind of if there was some sort of guiding principle around that.
Well, I think everyone's different, and you
Yeah.
do what works for you. That's my
You do you,
standpoint
boo.
on it. Exactly. Do what's best for you. I'll tell you firsthand, I'm no master. I just freestyle most of the time. I'll take what I've learned here, take what I've learned in Krav Maga or jujitsu or whatever. Maybe, my sister was a dancer, maybe a dance move or two, and I'll flow and I'll just do whatever feels right. So, that's my take. Do what is best for Joe, and everyone listening and watching, do what's best for you.
Yes, and I love that you mentioned flowing, because to me, as an entrepreneur and a high achiever, that's really where we're trying to get. We want to find that focus, we want to find that flow. And I do find that, the movement and energy work and the meditation really helps me get to the flow. I think the focus piece, for me, the most important thing is sleeping like my life depends on it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Sleep's essential. And a lot of people miss that part. So I'm glad you brought it up because, sleep can single-handedly destroy your energy and overall happiness if you're not sleeping, at least somewhere between 7 and 8 hours every night. You're selling yourself short, and our bodies depend on sleep. So I would say just really prioritize it.
Yeah. And cannabis is such a great tool for people to find that sweet spot and that good sleep habits and patterns. And I know for me, I'm north of 40 now. And over the past probably 6 or 7 years, I would notice how the amount of wine I would consume in the evenings was having a direct effect on my performance the next day. And so, trying to wean myself off of drinking alcohol or eating sweets or something in the evening and replace that with cannabis, or a cup of tea with some cannabis infused honey or something, but giving myself the best opportunity to get a good night's sleep without waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning wide-eyed and bushy-tailed because the or the alcohol woke you up. So that's one of those things that, when I call it a reefer recap at the end of the day, like, instead of winding down with booze, winding down with cannabis has really been helpful for me as a high achiever to be able to stick to my morning routine the next day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I usually I'll rotate. I try not to ever take anything to excess. I'm all about balance and moderation. However, I do enjoy from time to time using CBD to get a nice deep full rest. And I'll take a tincture of like maybe 500,000 milligrams full spectrum, and I'll just do it a tincture full, a dropper full of it, and I sleep great with that. Sometimes fast acting melatonin, there's a nice add to. Sometimes you can have amazing lucid dreams.
Yeah. And I absolutely do the melatonin every night too, because the melatonin also helps us perform better the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of benefits. I mean, our bodies naturally produce melatonin. Just the one thing that I say with supplements, because a lot of people take a lot or too many, of supplements, and it just turns into expensive urine and your body's, not processing it properly. I would just say everything in moderation, even cannabis in moderation. We're about being casually baked, not like in the stone zone 24/7, and I think everything in moderation is a good tip that my dad taught me when I was very young. And, I tried to live by that.
Heck yeah. That's foundational for everything, right? Well, let's talk about morning routines, because I reserve like 2 hours in the morning for myself to just get my mind right, get my intention set for the day, make sure I feed myself, feed my soul, get my energy going. What does your morning routine look like?
Yeah, I mean, you win the day in the morning, right? So I would say everyone out there has some different variation of what serves them. My initial inclination is to just urge everyone to find that unique combination. Now, for me, what I find to be most successful to really energize me, I'll wake up. I'm not a hero in the mornings. I'm a happy hustler. 6:15 is perfect for me. 6:30, sometimes 7. You know, but I like to wake up first thing in my body. If we're talking consumption, is a green juice mixed with apple cider vinegar, organic lemon, and that apple cider vinegar is with the mother. You can get Bragg's or one of those in organic as well. I have a trace mineral salts, and then I'll put all that together. Sometimes I'll put like a wellness tincture, and it'll have organic superfoods, and I'll chug that down. That's the first thing to really help my digestion and energy production. So that's an important cocktail in the morning. Then I'll chug, 2 glasses of water. A lot of people get dehydrated while they're sleeping, especially here with the fireplace. It kind of drives the place out if you have your heat on, especially if your heat's on, that'll dry you out. So we want to make sure we're properly hydrated in the morning. Then, usually I'll do some form of like stretching, just movement, just to move the energy. This isn't, by any means like a workout, but it is just to flow to if you stretch every day, they say it adds 7 years to your life. So touch them toes, baby. And
Right.
yeah, so I do all that. I have my gratitude practice in a whole journal that I use. It's like a high performance planner, but it also has room for gratitude. So I'll write.
I'm a planner freak, and 2021 is almost here. So which brand of planner do you use?
Yeah, it's called High Performance Planner
Name of it.
by Brendan Burchard. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm actually starting a new one in January because I want to try my friend Dave Ruel. He has one called Effic, EFFIC.co. This thing looks awesome. And he sent me one. It's leather bound, and it comes with, he has a book called Done by Noon, how to get more done by noon than anyone else in the entire day. So if you want to go to effic.co, you can get that using code HAPPY, discounted. So he hooked it up with that. So I'm going to bust that out in Q1 of 2021. But yeah, so then
because I get so frustrated with the planner scene, because I'll find one that I really like, but it's the size of an oversized Bible. And when you travel a lot, which I used to back before 2020 happened.
Yeah.
And it was like lugging around an encyclopedia everywhere I went. So I was like, okay, can I get the same functionality that weighs 5 pounds less, please?
Yeah. You would like those 2 planners. They're solid. So yeah, then I get into my planner practice, journaling. I'll do my attitude of gratitude, 5 to 10 things that come up. Maybe it's the beautiful morning sunrise, or my cup of coffee, like that's soon to come, or whatever it is, my beautiful fiance, whatever at that moment, 5 to 10 things. Then I'll get into my to dominate list, things for the day. I kind of map out my day, look at my calendar. Then I usually read thegreatday.com by Ralph Martson. It's a great tool. 6 days out of the week, he posts a new great day that always seems super relevant, but it's like inspiration in like 4 paragraphs. Oh, come here, dude. My dog. Sorry about that, Joe.
That's okay.
He's old.
He's home.
Hold on, let me grab him. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, bless their hearts.
Okay.
Nice tank.
Sorry about that. Oh, that's Bruce Lee tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Working from home, and then this is a long fall for this old pitbull to go down. So I was like,
Oh, yeah,
I gotta.
no, not on my watch. I would have felt
Yeah.
terrible. So,
Exactly.
you know, the dogs barking was reminded me of, you know, people having kids, you know, pop in on their Zoom calls. You know, these actual broadcasters who are in the middle of doing a show and, you know, the kid busts into the room. So, you know, people just have to get used to this shit these days.
Oh my gosh.
Are you home alone? What's going on?
The cows are here, and the dogs are barking at the cows. Ranch life. Sorry.
You know what?
Anyway,
I'm familiar with ranch life. So no
yeah,
way.
you are.
Well, so so your morning routine, some of the things that you do in the morning, I do at night because I'm not fully functioning in the morning. You know, there's the early birds, there are the night owls, and then there's something called the third bird. And those are the people who kind of really start firing up around 10 a.m. That's kind of me. That's why I want those couple of hours in the morning to just, you know, not have to be a zombie on my very first phone call. But
Yeah.
you know, and I
Makes
think
sense.
for people who consume cannabis and who are high achievers, you know, that journaling and the note taking, you know, staying organized, writing shit down becomes super critical.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I think with all of our devices and our notifications and all the noise, having just a simple planner, it can keep you sane, and it's such a more effective way to just keep track of our busy lives. We all have stuff going on, and it's a really good tool. So I highly recommend people use a calendar digitally and then use a journal in person on the regular.
Absolutely. And one of the other things that has really served me this year was the toggle timer where I'm tracking my time. Because when you know, I have like 5 or 6 email accounts at this point, I'm losing count. And, you know, things kind of start falling through the cracks if you're not really focusing, you know, on where your time is going. And, you know, as a cannabis consumer, you know, like this morning, I used this forbidden fruit THC infused honey that someone gifted me, and it was absolutely delicious. I can't say it was the best for my productivity this morning. So, you know, being able to notice that because I track my time and I can see that there were like 45-minute gaps in between me doing a project. So it was like really taking me more time to get my shit back together and get focused again. And, you know, being a smart, you know, cannabis consumer who is a high achiever, part of it is like labeling your shit, knowing what makes you feel what, and like what you took, and, you know, what supplements you're taking, what food you're eating. And, you know, really paying attention to how all of this stuff works in harmony is so critical.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I think just tapping back into how you feel with your foods as well. You know, a lot of foods, people have a lot of food sensitivities that they're unaware of, and they'll eat gluten and they're not, you know, fully realizing that they're gluten intolerant in some capacity. A lot of people are, and they'll be sluggish or they'll get brain fog. Same thing with your cannabis consumption. You know, really making sure you use it efficiently and not in excess, I think is key. So, and for me, just if anyone's curious about my, you know, cannabis consumption, I just would say, like, I do it in moderation, leaning more on the, you know, towards the side of very, very little actually. Although I'm an advocate for, you know, some of the balms, the CBDs, I know I never do it before bed. It's just like I have a rule with that. You know, I use it more as like a social thing. So it is just how you choose what works best for you. You know I want to be productive. I want to be high energy, getting things dialed in, and that just works for me, but everyone's different.
Yeah. Well, one of the things here in Oakland now that entheogens have been decriminalized, and so, I can try psychedelics in a way that is meaningful and repeatable and know that I'm getting, something good, and, you don't have to worry about getting in trouble for it. But my experiment that I was doing was, can I replace the microdosing of cannabis that I do with microdosing psilocybin and keep that productivity and lose that short-term memory loss, because I have that short-term memory loss gene, which I learned when I got my panel done, my epigenetic CBD or cannabinoid panel. And so,
Mm.
that's what I was wanting to do, but it didn't work that way for me. Psilocybin, the microdosing of it, the way I was moving energy with that, it was just, I was yawning. And it was just like, okay, I'm trying to be fired up and productive, and I can't stop yawning. So, and that works for some of my friends really, really well, but it doesn't for me. And, so even the, functional mushrooms in your coffee and things like that, just there are tiny things that we can do that, when done consecutively, you repeat it, create a habit out of it, can make a huge difference.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you mentioned functional mushrooms in your coffee. I didn't really get to that part in my morning routine because of our furry friends downstairs. However, I definitely use functional mushrooms in my coffee, in my organic coffee every morning. And, that's a great part of my day. And then to finish it off, I use a rebounder, which is shaking out the lymphatic drainage system. So like a little mini trampoline. But yeah, just to your point, I think, microdosing on the scene now is quite popular, especially in like Silicon Valley. I know a lot of high level entrepreneurs are using some of these microdosing techniques, to tap into another part of their brain, the more creative, authentic self. And I think some of those tools, once again, in moderation, can be effective. I've tried plant medicines in the past, and I've done some of these things, and I just know for me what works best for me. And I think everyone just needs to figure that out safely, of course, and just not in excess. That's the key, right? In
Yeah.
moderation.
Well, and yes, everything in moderation. And, there are times during the day where, maybe things do start going off the rails. Like, you're doing everything that you normally do, but for whatever reason, the universe just has other plans for your day. So what are some of the things, Cary, that you might do when your day starts going off the rails?
Oh, like when I purposely take it off the rails, I'll usually go fly fishing or horseback riding or biking or motorcycle riding. That's when I purposely take it off the rails. You're
Yeah.
talking about when I am not doing it on purpose,
Yeah, you
essentially.
don't want your day to go off the rails, but now it has.
Okay.
So now what do we do?
Well, I think you need a pattern interrupt, some type of like either a shower sometimes works, or a cold thermogenesis, submerging in ice water, or a cold shower, right? That usually can snap you out of it. Breath work also, with 6 deep breaths, you can actually change your state. So even if you and I don't know if people are familiar with Wim Hof, but breath work is super powerful, and that can change your state when it's going off the rails, and tap you back into the present moment. And then also, there's a practice called the Artist's Way. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
Tell me.
you actually, just Julia Cameron, best-selling like journal / booklet, a very, very powerful like exercise of just writing 3 pages freehand every single day. And so when you're going off the rails, and usually you do it in the mornings, but you just empty on your mind what it is, and you can use that tool to tap back into the present moment.
I like that. Mine is typically to just turn out all the lights, go lay down and take a 10-minute power nap.
That's great.
Because I feel like whenever I close my eyes and I just kind of, you're not really asleep, but you're in maybe your
You're
upper
resting.
room. Yeah. And just being able to reset that way and then get up, going for a walk is always good. And I like taking meetings, taking my call on a walk,
Yep.
just like getting myself out so that, if it's a stressful thing or a heated thing, you're not just sitting there with that. You can like talk it out, walk it out, kind of multitask it.
Yeah. I just took a meeting like 2 hours ago, shirtless out on the deck, walking around, getting sun, vitamin D. Everyone was probably laughing at me because it was like a 15-person call, but here I am just strolling around shirtless.
That's hilarious. I can't take shirtless calls anymore. I got in trouble.
Oh, you can, please. It's 2020.
Right. People are like, who needs clothes anymore? I mean, I
Right.
saw on Instagram today there was an ad for somebody selling pajamas that you can just roll right into your Zoom work call because they look business, but they're super casual. Just
I legit had on my robe and silk pants the entire day. I'd showered just for you, Joe. And obviously, it was a little sweaty from the katana work. But yeah, I wore my pajamas basically exactly what you're saying on both calls today.
that's really funny.
Happy hustling.
I mean, seriously. So yeah, so explain to the Casually Baked listeners where this idea for the happy hustle came from for you and how you decided you wanted to become this lifestyle entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, initially it started when I was just on pure burnout. I was, hustling, but definitely not happy in New York City, wearing the fancy, Prada suits and the Tom Ford shoes, none of which I paid for. I would work promo modeling gigs and get paid in clothes sometimes, and I was faking until I make it with my tech startup. My brother and I were working 100+ hour weeks for 6 months straight to land this 7-figure VC funding deal. And it was a great idea. Our tech company, had a lot of merit. We had a lot of interest. We sat down with IBM and Microsoft and a bunch of big name VCs, and we got all the way to the money where we actually landed the 7-figure deal. And it came time to sign the contract, and it came with the 5-year clause of essentially, hey, you're beholden to the money and the company for the next 5 years of your life. And that obviously, rightfully so, if someone's going to give you that much money, they want to know you're invested.
Yeah.
And my brother and I just had a heart to heart, and we were so burnt out, Joe. I mean, we couldn't continue. So we said no to the money, over tears. And, it was a tough decision, but a pivotal one at that. And I moved to Bangkok, Thailand for the next 9 months, give or take. It was 9.5 months. My brother went back, got his master's from the University of Florida. And I just figured, hey, there's got to be a better way. And so I started hustling, but also being happy in the process. And that balance is really where I found the bliss. And I think everyone out there listening can resonate with some form of burnout where you're just like burning the candles at both ends. So I just really took it to heart, and I just kind of built my whole business around my lifestyle. And I've never had a real job per se. I've done a lot of things in exchange for money. However, from working at smoothie shops to construction to taking my clothes off to who knows? Yeah, I've done modeling and acting for 15 years, and I've done, biohacking and improv. The point is, you can happy hustle in whatever you're doing. You can make it just an enjoyable experience where you're not just working so hard to climb to the top of the mountain, and then you get there and you're like, oh, I'm the only one here and I've alienated everyone, my family, my friends. I've stopped, working out. I don't believe in a higher power. I sacrificed everything for what? For profit and success. And that's what I see still with my fellow entrepreneurs. So I basically started the Happy Hustle to solve that problem of imbalance in entrepreneurs. And I created this proprietary framework of the 10 alignments of being a happy hustler, which I'm happy to get into of what those 10 are. But essentially, that's where it came from, and that's where it's at. So now I help entrepreneurs combat combat imbalance with this framework. And I have a podcast and a book I wrote and masterminds and live events. And yeah, it's a great, I mean, I'm happy in the process just teaching others about happy hustling, because it's so transformative once you can get that balance right.
I think so. And, living an inspired life is such a wonderful way to teach people how to implement that in their own lives. Just walking the walk, showing up, doing the thing every day. And, I have people all the time that are like, oh yeah, you and your kumbaya shit, we're not just going to get around and hold hands. And I'm like, no, there is such a thing as being able to be that happiness, that kindness, that grace in action, and show people a different way than what we've been seeing for the last, 30 years. And, we have gotten to a point where shit's got to change. We can't keep doing things the way we're doing them. And, entrepreneurs are, I think, at least the ones that are consuming cannabis or, any sort of psychedelics, they're really having these breakthroughs and saying like, okay, yeah, I get it. I understand how these things work together, how holistic living and plant medicine really can boost my day. And these people aren't just talking woo shit, it's way more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is way more than that. And I think once you can find that perfect balance for you with the combination of all the modalities that you just mentioned, Joe, I think that is when you can find that bliss. And really, for me, it's more than just internal, like finding it for myself, but I get so much fulfillment when I help others find it. And really, I believe the secret to living is giving, like my main man, Tony Robbins says, it's true. I find the most fulfillment when I give back to others. And that's something that it's one of the 10 alignments of being a happy hustler, selfless service. And, you measure where you rank in each of these 10 alignments. And if you're not giving back to others and you're not giving back to yourself, well, you're going to suffer. Your balance is going to be out of whack. So I think it's just important to find that perfect combination for everyone out there, and just, continue to iterate until you get there.
Yeah, and it really is. It's a dance. It's a constant experiment. I really believe that, Earth is school and life is a game, and that we really are a reflection of the people we spend the most time with. And if you don't like the way your life looks, you don't like the way you feel, then it really will behoove you to get casually baked, get still, get quiet, and kind of go through like, what is the toxic shit that I need to release? And sometimes that's people, sometimes it's food, sometimes it's drugs, sometimes it's alcohol, but it's always something. There's always ways that we can improve, and it's just baby steps.
Yeah.
Every little day, taking those baby steps to get to where you want to go. And if you're happy hustling, you're enjoying the journey. And, and for me, being somebody who suffers from that low level anxiety all the time, cannabis truly is my co-pilot in helping me, show up and be my best self and be of service to my community.
Yeah. I think that's well said. And one thing I just want to, add to your point, measuring is the way to true management. In any, field of your life, you could look at, how can I quantify this, be it with a personal journal where you're taking stock, as you do when you're labeling how you feel. That's a form of measurement with each modality, with each different substance. I think what you can measure, you can manage. And so that's, important for me. I have even a fridge magnet that I look at and I check off every day. And I know exactly, where I stand. And that's it. It sounds exhausting. It's really not. What's exhausting is not knowing. So, that's an important part.
And that's a really good key of the getting started piece of it. What we're talking about, it all sounds overwhelming if you're not doing any of this shit. But if it's starting just one thing at a time, whether or not it's, okay, I'm going to make sure that I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every single night this week. And then the next week, I'm going to make sure that when I get up every morning, that I'm doing some sort of a mindfulness and energy moving and feeding my body and soul kind of routine. And I'm going to take 30 minutes to do that. Or, I tell parents all the time who say, well, you have a really nice life because you don't have kids and a spouse and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, then 5 minutes in your car, 10 minutes on the train going to work, like there's always time. And it's just incorporate a little bit at a time. Because I didn't start like this. This is something I've been working on for 15 years. But when you get yourself to a point where you're vibrating at this high level, it's easier to stay there. But it takes that consistent practice, to just kind of move up to where you can, start being high vibe all the time.
Yeah, that's for sure. Being a high performer and a high achiever, puns intended, you definitely want to pick out what things work for you. I think, the personalization that we've been mentioning throughout this chat, I think if people are listening and they do feel a little bit overwhelmed, well, take what works for you. What Joe and I have been talking about, think about what elements you do want to try incorporating into your routine. Do those for a consistent period of time. Usually takes 30 days to really create a good habit and to see results. So I'd commit to it for the month, be it ice baths, be it meditation, breath work, sleeping, proper nutrition, proper, you name it, fill in the blank, and commit to it. And then measure how you felt, your energy levels, and then where you are after you added that whatever, fill in the blank, to your routine. And that's a great way to just slowly build.
Take a selfie of yourself on the first day, and then 30 days later, after you've been doing your sleep or your food or whatever routine, take pictures of yourself. See how those bags under your eyes are changing, or this deep crease in the forehead from scowling all the time. See how all that stuff is changing. And because you can measure it in multiple ways. But when we look in the mirror and we, have that self-talk, are you saying nice things to yourself? Are you noticing the positive changes? Because that's part of the battle, is seeing it, allowing yourself to let go of the bad shit and the old shit and receive the benefits of the new stuff, and just seeing it and acknowledging it and raving about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I got nothing else to add, but amen, sister.
So my sister and I, we'll get high and start chatting. And if there's something that's like really annoying, and you start talking about something negatively, as humans, we kind of want somebody to jump in on that with us and, dogpile, and let's, So what my sister and I do for each other when one of us gets like that is we just start raving. And it's funnier when you're high because, it's just like, you find all the wonderful things that, you basically flip the script. Like, this person never shows up on time. And every time they do, they're not prepared. And so then my sister would butt in and be like, oh my God, don't you love how she's always prepared for all of the meetings and she always shows up and she gives 110%. And so then you just start rave dogpiling in, the opposite. It's upside down world, and we're going to make everything that's shitty really great. And cannabis is a wonderful tool for that exercise.
Yeah, I love that. I think our self-talk and what we continuously think inside this monkey mind of ours can inherently be negative if we allow it, or it can inherently be positive. We train ourselves, we create this behavior. And, I have my mantras. I know you do as well, that you
Mhm.
consistently say these positive things. I have my affirmations. I go through, I listen to inspirational and educational content in the afternoons. I watch it in the evenings, and I read it in the mornings. I have a system for personal development that I know is feeding my mind positive thoughts and positive ideas. And it just it's a great point for everyone out there to really double down on what you tell yourself and make it, positive, make it something that's going to add value to your vibration, where you're then increasing your frequency. So that's all about moving energy once again, with
Yes.
your words. So
Yeah, it all comes back to that. And, and the fact that we choose our emotions, we choose how to feel, like deciding that I'm not going to get upset about anything today, choosing how our perspective is and allowing ourselves to change and, to, as my sister says, give ourselves and everyone else the mother of all breaks. You know, shit is going to go off the rails sometimes, and letting that happen and being okay with it and being able to snap back quickly, because I think that's part of an issue with a lot of people if they're not practiced at this, is they get in a place where they feel bad and then it's hard for them to get out of that. And then if they're over consuming cannabis, then cannabis can, deepen that even. So,
yeah,
I think it is it's a gift, but it is also a practiced skill more than anything else.
for sure. You have to practice anything you want to be good at, even self-positive talk, and just being conscious with your actions, and your mind can help you just continuously raise your vibration, yes, but also just live a happier, more balanced and peaceful life. And I think just really making sure you're putting good stuff into your body and your mind every single day is just such a no-brainer for me. But just starting out, if you're in that toxic loop where you're like got these self-limiting stories, and you're putting yourself in a state of depression, or you're holding on to fear, or maybe even someone past hurt or trauma. I've had plenty of shit go down in my life. I don't need to get into too much depth of it, but everyone has a story, right, of where they came from. And I think sometimes that history can spark that toxic loop. And anyone out there who is going through some of that toxicity in their life, sometimes it helps to just get away and use some of these modalities, from plant medicines to cannabis or microdosing, to shed some of that trauma and work through some of that past pain. And it was beneficial for me when I went through some of those ceremonies, and just allowed me to shake off that toxic energy. And I think once you can really just own your truth and not let your past define your future, then you can step into your full power.
Absolutely. I love that 100%. So tell me, if people want to connect with you, maybe go through your program, where should we send them?
Yeah. So if they want to connect with me, everything's pretty much on my website, caryjack.com, CARYJACK.com. My podcast, the Happy Hustle Podcast, which Joe was a recent on being unapologetically yourself and getting paid to do so. So you can check that episode out, all, the Casually Baked Tribe.
Yes.
And we also have a free ebook. So anyone who wants to learn the 10 alignments deeper and some of those actionable takeaways can, download the free ebook. I know everyone's like, ebook free, blah, blah, blah. Not going to value that. Well, I'll tell you, it's super valuable, and it's worth the read and actually implementing it. I've spent a lot of time on it. So you could,
I mean, if somebody doesn't know what to do, then you're just handing them over a roadmap. So
there you go.
roadmap
Exactly.
to happy hustling,
Yeah.
caryjack.com.
Yeah. And then there's also one other thing. If they do want to take it to the next level, we have a super affordable, it's kind of our signature online course. It's called the Journey, 10 Days to Becoming a Happy Hustler. and you can go through my website and get there as well, or just go to thehappyhustle.com. And it's legit like step by step over the next days how to implement each of the 10 alignments. And it's a no-brainer for someone who is right now struggling with balance and really feeling overwhelmed and anxious. It's just step by step, some of the best content I've ever aggregated in one portal. So yeah, that's all there. And using code Joe, J-O, they can save 20% off. So that's our gift to you.
Ever.
Yeah, there you go.
And listen, I have high hopes for 2021. See? And seriously, this program can help you if you're like really wanting to, get out of the 2020 funk, reset, get ready for 2021. I think this would be a stellar program to help you get started.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Joe. And yeah, I just appreciate, the opportunity to connect with you and your awesome tribe. And, I just continue to love my life and who I surround myself with, because you are the some of your 5 closest relationships. And I'm grateful to have Joe as a part of mine, and, or at least part of my inner circle. And you guys are in good hands here. So continuously listen and subscribe, and just live it as well.
Awesome. Amen to that. Well, and I appreciate what you add to my life as well, Cary. I appreciate your time, and thanks for, we did this live stream private because we weren't sure about the technical difficulties with being in a new space. So, but I think we're good. I'll kick this thing out into the world.
Awesome. All right, world. Here you have it.
That's right. Here we go.
Awesome. Peace and love, y'all. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, guys.